Okay, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Joshua Isiko. I'm a feeds and training expert, and more feeds. You have just been learning many things as preservation methods for fodder or forage in livestock. You talked about hay, you talked about silage and haylage. Here we are now introducing to you hydroponic fodder production. Is it a preservation method? Yes. You are preserving seeds and then you prepare them for feeding at the end. So I'm going to share with you some of the concepts of how you can sprout your fodder from seeds and make them available for nutrition in a more magnified way or amplified way. The photo we are talking about is that you can see that photo, this beautiful photo. You see, this is like bread. These are roots. There are these seed remains, and then there are these shoots about 15 to 20 centimeters long. And this is adopted from this website here. It's a picture that they put. What is it that I'm going to talk about in this kind of presentation? I'll define hydroponic fodder. I talk about the science involved, the suitable seeds, technologies involved, the steps involved taken, talk about the different the advantages, and then the challenges and limitations, and then the animals that feed on this hydroponic fodder. The definition. What is hydroponic fodder? First, focus you to this kind of picture. A photo created by Pick and Nike. You see, this is maize, sprout. This is literally growing forage without soil. As simple. Plants sprout and grow roots on a plate, which is either plastic or metal, whichever. That's where you are having them grow. I'm enlarging this side that you see me. And the other one is stability. How stable are they on that place? They make themselves stable if you put them, those seeds close to one another. When they are growing, the roots intertwine, they cross one another. If you would check this picture, you see this enables them to be stable. You see, all these are roots. So what science is involved? Simple. We are looking at science of germination. This is a common science to you all. Germination is the science we are making, we are relying on here. But in germination, one of the things I would want you to know is that a seed is a reserve of nutrients for the next plant of a given species. So in there, the crop will put all nutrients required to bring life to a new crop or a new plant after. Now, sprouting tries to trick this kind of seed that, hey, you are germinating, you are going to have a new one. So they release those nutrients to be available, and those nutrients start multiplying within the seed to make sure the plant is able to, the younger plant is able to get the nutrients. Interestingly, you should be knowing that the first few days after germination, the crop is not really, that younger plant is not depending on the nutrients from the soil. It is getting nutrients from the seed, the reservoir, the reserved nutrients that you see in there. So that's what we are relying on, multiplying. So those nutrients are small, so but when they start germinating, they grow into the shoots, the kind of roots you are seeing. So that's the science we are relying on. Which seeds are involved? Basically, cereals, barley, sorghum, maize, millet. Barley is the best because it has better protein and cheese. Is what they introduced the technology to most. But people have started going for protein or legume seeds like beans, soya, peas. The challenge is that sometimes the taste is lost because they are not tasted, the sprouts, but beans are a bit tasty. So people have tried to mix cereals and the beans together to do this kind of mixed hydroponic fodder. It is advisable to do a uniform one because the germination is at different rates. So you may have others germinate faster than the other. And sometimes that is a bit a challenge. What technologies are involved? The seed germination is only happening in certain environment. It must be moist and it must have a temperature that is right. The temperature we talk about here is 15 to 32 degrees Celsius. Water automation, it must be moist. The humidity should be that adequate. Not too wet, not too dry. That's the simple way of talking about it. Let me move this to this other corner for you. The simplest one is this, but there are more simpler ones. People are using mosquito nets, they are using anything to cover and prevent either flies or prevent birds that would fly in to get interested in the seeds or dust to try and control the contamination by fungal spores. They can do anything to cover their unit. But this is more advanced. You can see this net. This is in India. There's this HNMS. They do specialize the automated one. You can see this is like a container. And then this inside you would see this is kind of more fancy. It is high tech. You can see this. This is high tech. But all that is just a modification to try and get the adequate environment of temperature, water automation, and control of entry of fungal and other things that would contaminate the fodder. What are some of the steps that you need to take to produce this fodder? Number one, you add 5 to 7 liters of warm. Make this warm from water in plastic bucket and seed. Then remove seeds that are floating. So warm, yes, you can heat, but if you don't have it, then just pick room temperature water. And then you get seeds put there. The warming is trying to break seed dormancy, if you know that technology. There are certain seeds that you are going to deal with, especially seeds that have a rough kind of husks on them, like rice and barley. Sometimes the warming breaks the seed dormancy faster, but maize is easy. Cold water or room temperature water is enough. Then the viable seeds will be heavy, they will sink, and the non-viable seeds will float. So scoop them off and other impurities that you don't want to deal with in the mixed with seeds. After that, you add 50 to 100 grams of salt in that water. You are trying to minimize fungal. So yes, when it dissolves, keep it there a bit. You are trying to clean off the spores that would turn into fungi. Then allow the seed to soak water for around 12 hours. So you can see. So they take in water for 12 hours. Remember, that's the water you added the salt in, the water that was warm. It's the same water you are leaving them to soak. They will take in water as much as they can. After 12 hours, drain the water, then wash the seeds with clean water. So you remove anything that is remaining to clean it. And then you take them into a gunny bag or a bucket, whichever, which does not have water, because the seeds have already absorbed the water they want. And then, in that way, you leave them to germinate 24 hours roughly. If the environment is warmer, like to room temperature, they germinate faster. If it is so cold, they take longer than 24 hours. Then after germinating in those 24 hours, clean the trays very well. Check for the hollows if they are not blocked, because those walls will be used to drain out the water. On the bottom of the tray, there are some holes. Transfer the sprouted seeds from the gunny bags to the trays where you want to grow them and make them into bigger volumes. Then every day sprinkle some water. You use a sprinkler, whichever system you can set if it is automated. But what you have to know, if the temperatures are warm, you will need to sprinkle water every 2 hours. But if it's cold, then after every 4 hours. Maintain cleanness, hygiene. Do not touch the sprouts with hands that are dirty. Do not open up anyhow. Do not go in with things that can lead to drop off of dust or anything, because molds will develop from that. What are the advantages? Nutrient value. This kind of fodder is highly digestible because the shoots have less hemicellulose and cellulose, so the digestibility is high. The fiber in is a bit low, and then the proteins are still in at their climax, and other nutrients like vitamins and minerals that would have just been unlocked from the seed. The time of growing is short, 7 days only. You have your fodder grown and fed. The water required is less. You can recycle that water, the 3 to 4 kilograms or liters of water per every kilogram of the fodder you produce can be recovered, because you saw that the tray has holes at the bottom. So whichever you put in, if it's not taken up by the sprouts, then it is recovered down as a collection. So yes, you can harvest daily, which is not possible with other pastures. Other forages are really giving you the opportunity to harvest daily, because you are not seeding daily, but here you can seed daily and harvest daily in a cycle of 7 days. Chemicals are not many unless you are going to boost with growth promoters, like boosters, but you don't need many chemicals. Transport and worker force is low, especially I transport 100 kilograms of maize. After sprouting, they will turn into 1 ton. They grow to about 10 kilograms. But commonly 5, 7 is common in environments that are not controlled. 10 to 12 can happen in controlled hydroponic fodder units. Challenges and limitations involved there: high rate of mold growth. Yes, that's why you have to be highly hygienic. You are risking to feed animals on aflatoxins instead of feed. Not easy to mix for total mixed rations or balanced rations. Yes, it is quite hard to mix for total, to have a balanced ration and say they have fed everything is supplied. It's rare. Sometimes you won't be able to achieve that. So it is quite a challenge now, unless you dry it, grind it, and mix, because some other things you are mixing with are dry and this is wet. So that one affects mixing ability. Which animals are feeding on this? Yes, cattle, goats, sheep, pigs, chicken, and many other animals. rabbits, anything that can taste the grass can feed on this. But now it's coming up. People are using it as a way to provide carrot in chicken, especially cases whereby you cannot harvest forage every day to provide the yellow yolk. People are using hydroponic fodder. In pigs, people are using hydroponic fodder to try and improve the quality of crop. Sheep, goats, and cattle, yes, that will be obvious. So this you will learn how to do it in a practical session that will be conducted very soon. This was just to let you know what is involved in there, and for you to appreciate the different technologies or the science of hydroponic fodder production, and to have your mind opened up to understand basics. That's what exactly we are doing here. We are on the e-learning platform. You will find some videos that are interesting for you to really try and learn more and appreciate the process of producing hydroponic fodder, the different innovations that are involved in there. Innovation lies most about establishing the hydroponic fodder unit. How automated is it? How does it prevent mold growth? That's the where the innovation is. But you can start with anything. You don't have to go right away to the high tech. People have high techs containers in Uganda and Africa, but start small. Doesn't have to be that big. Yeah. Thank you. I'll see you very soon in the practical session. Bye.